morning and welcome along to the second half of Waikato All Sports Breakfast, brought to you by Peter Kelly of Bailey's Real Estate. Graham Mead on this side and David Fox on that side, which is probably a complete worry for the listening audience of just what's going to go on this morning. Morning, Foxy.
Good morning, Minty. How are you this morning, my friend?
Great to see you wearing Kirioni colours of the green and white.
Actually, mate, but let's be honest, it's Celtic. Top of the Scottish League with a magnificent week. 3-0 over Rangers this time last week, and then 3-2 over Aberdeen during the week.
Well, 8:30 we're talking EPL football and the world of football with Steve Williams from Melville Football Club. It's going to be a tough old day. What have we got today? Greg Smith is going to join us very shortly, the wonderful captain of Fiji, and of course a man who knows all about the nether regions of front row play.
Well, let's be honest, Minty, a family that breeds hookers, don't they? Who's his uncle? The great Pat Foxy Bennett.
Yeah, he's got a bit of talent in him, he has, all right. Leighton Parsons is a young man who's going to join us, 43 centuries in the game of cricket. Steve Williams, of course, and Butch Castles and Peter Kelly going to round it out with a big day of racing. It's your up today. Hey, I've got to say a big congratulations to Camille Buscombe, Cam French, Camille Buscombe, the 5,000, 10,000 metre runner. Cam French, the 400 New Zealand champion hurdler. Camille's about 5 months into having a little girl. So congratulations to Camille and Cam. Great to hear the breeding athletes.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so, Minty. That's bloody great news, to be honest with you. Fantastic
but
to hear.
Let's get right amongst it. Joining us now, he is the wonderful ex-captain of Fiji and, of course, a Waikato stalwart. But more than that, he played for the Blue and Whites of Fraser Tech, who are currently the premiers of Waikato Rugby. Fox. Did I mention that, Fox, last year enough times?
Yes, and Smithy and I we've had lunch this week, and he's a very, very good man, Smithy, and we're talking about I reckon he's probably the youngest life member in the Southern Hemisphere of a club.
He probably is. Morning, Greg, how are you?
Good morning, men. I'm very good, thank you.
Oh, we've just pumped your tyres up, eh?
You did.
Well deserved too, mate, I have to say.
Smithy, that's just cool to have life membership of the Blue and Whites, because you've given so much to that club, again, all the way through Fraser Tech, Fraser High, and you just stayed loyal to Blue and White forever.
Oh, look, I think I'm not so fussed about the award. It's nice to be part of a group of people that are so like-minded. We're a humble sort of working-class club, and it's nice to be part of a group that thinks similarly.
Greg, I want to talk to you about the front row, because Fraser Tech, they won a title last year, but I take it on the back of a mighty front row, and we know Samasoni and, of course, Georgie Dyer are taking big strides forward. Yeah. How much influence have you had with Samasoni? Because I believe he is now the best hooker in New Zealand, and he's playing a game like I see from the French. He's mobile, he's aggressive, but when he gets the pill, he's making a couple of metres forward and laying it back. He's not trying to be the superhero, but, man, his work rate's high.
Yeah, he's very good, isn't he? He's certainly made a big impression last year when he got opportunities. And I think you're right, he's pushed himself up the rankings some way. He's a product of, I just see this kid that came to St. Paul's on scholarship and had bits and pieces to do with him, but I can't claim anything to really work closely with him. But we knew him since he was about 17, 18. Daniel Tick has actually had a lot more to do with him because he's at school with him. But he's a Tech man. I'm told that when he goes on All Black tours, you take your club jersey, and he takes his Fraser Tech jersey with him and wears it with pride. And he's actually been down at pre-season training, running around with our boys. So that's nice for them that he's down there, just mixing and mingling and being a Tech man.
And again, George Dyer on the other side, I think he's another one in NPC last year. He grew about 5 legs. His round the field play for a prop is quite dynamic, and he's just going to get better and better hanging around that Chiefs environment, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and he's another product of St. Paul's as well. I've had more to do with George the last few years. He's a top man, and he's really, really worked hard. He wasn't big. He put a lot of effort into getting big. He's not your normal sort of large, tidy prop who can just dominate easily. He's really worked hard at his trade, and last year at the Waikato NPC, he was really outstanding, and he got his opportunity. Took it every time he was out there. But not only is around the field stuff, Minty, but he's really become quite a technician at scrum because he's had to learn it, and he's done a very good job at that.
Yes, Smithy, you talk about obviously scrum time, and I thought Georgie, he improved out of this world last year when it comes to the set piece, but it was his around the field play what sort of caught everybody's eye. And for a big fella, mate, he's quite quick too, isn't he? And he runs really good lines as well.
He is. He's a big man. He's surprisingly large. He's about 6'2", 3. You know, he's a big man. But I think also what helped catch people's eye was his haircut, right? So he cut this mullet into his head. And I said to him, "What's with the mullet, mate?" And he said, "Well, if he goes, Greg, he's like this. He goes, if I look wild, I'll play wild."
That's magnificent. Now Minty can't talk now. He's got tears coming out of his eyes. Smithy, let's just move on. Obviously, another campaign was close to your heart, and you're doing a magnificent job there as well as with the Chiefs under-20s. And again, let's talk about the front row. And there's some really good kids coming through there too, isn't he, mate?
Yeah, there is, Foxy. We've just selected a team. It was named last night. We've named 7 props from the counties region, from the Bay and from Waikato. I think the group has come in terms of props. There's some good kids that are coming. So, another one I guess is Havila Molia, who's another St. Paul's kid that we have a bit to do with. But there's a young kid, Toby Taylor, who's getting a crack from the Bay. He's a year young. There's a guy, there's a couple of South Aucklanders, Whakaongo and Vaka from South Auckland, big island boys that are big and strong. Plus there's Mason Tupai and Josh Bartlett, who are training with the Chiefs at the moment and who are very, very good. So the Chiefs at the moment at this age are blessed with some very talented young front rows.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the later two you mentioned there, and obviously Mason Tupai, and that's a name which now starting to be entrenched in the region of rugby, and then young Josh Bartlett. These two young men are ahead of their years, aren't they, when it comes to front row play? Yeah,
they are, and they're very good. Not only they're not only just big men, and they are very big men for their age, for 20. They're also really good athletes. As a modern prop, they can run, they can pass, they can be a number of things. There's an exciting future for those two particularly. That they've got a big future ahead of them. And it won't be long before you actually see them playing for the full Chiefs team.
Mate, and what we're talking about front rowers, obviously there's a name in our team, and a name that you used to clash heads with down in the Taranaki, and I remember back to the 1996 Waikato Shield game down there when Waikato brought the Shield home, and you're on the other side of the scrum there was Gordy Slater, and now we've got his boy, and what a pure champion this lad is, Rowan Slater, isn't he?
Oh, Rowan's a top man. He's wonderful. He's actually an old-fashioned barman kid. Sort of comes in his black singlet with good cow shit on his arms. And he's sort of got these enormous looking hands, and he's got the gumboot marks that are sort of around his ankles. Yeah. He's a classic. His little story. I guess we talked to him about being our tight head lock, and that we needed a guy that just wanted to do some work. And so he told us a story about how his old man's been trying to get him out in the backyard for a long time, and it was pre-Christmas. And he came back to us and told him his dad's going to buy him a fence post for Christmas.
That's
get out there and push against it.
Mate, I can't talk more highly of that kid. He's an absolute pure champion. He's the first one to come up and shake your hand, and I tell you what, he blows you about 5 metres back with his handshake. He looks you straight in the eye. Look, he's old school, isn't he? And he's going to be magnificent for us this year, I believe.
Yeah, look, I think the Taranaki can be very proud of what they've produced down there. They produce a sort of cut of young men that are tough and just solid boys. So this Rowan Slater is just another one of those.
Smithy, are we in danger with so many quality players that we're tuning out now? Are we in danger? And look, I do a lot of signing work as a JP, and I see a lot of things that I'm signing for youngsters who are heading overseas chasing grandparents and family ties to England, to the UK, to Europe. Are we in danger of a lot of these overseas European-type clubs snaffling some of these really good kids and getting them overseas before we get the chance to keep them here?
Yeah, there was always that risk, I think, Minty, that, there's definitely, people see this as a viable option for themselves, chasing a career in rugby gives you some financial reward you might not otherwise get, and if the opportunity arrives early, then people are making decisions not only as just young men, but also as families that this is the best thing for them. I've my knowledge of Fiji. I know that France has been doing this for a long time at the western province of Fiji, called Ndronga. They've been taking people to France at 14, 15 for a long, long time. So they're just whipping these kids out from underneath the sort of the nose of the provinces over there in the Union, and I think the same will happen here. It's a bit sad, really, because we should be able to cater for all, but opportunities such as it is apparent, and so they take it. Off they go, and as a rugby player, you've only got till about 30 or 30 odd, and your time's done. So when if you're thinking in your pre-20s, you've only got 10 or so years to really have a decent crack.
Yeah, we had Gavin Hill on the show last week, the league and rugby player, and of course he talked about that times. He said we're getting kids coming out of school, even younger than that, and they've got this idea in their head that they're going to make it to the All Blacks, and they get to 18 or 19, and he said suddenly the All Black thing gets a bit further away, or Super Rugby, and he said they're gone overseas on a contract to somewhere, exactly as you said, to try and make a living out of what they're good at, and we need the breeding ground, we need the depth in New Zealand, eh?
Yeah, I think that's what's been making New Zealand so good for so long, in rugby, is that there's just been so many people that have wanting to chase that black jersey and hung around to do it. The depth has then created competition, which has, I guess, in turn made the good ones better.
Smithy, I'm going to digress now. I'm going to go back, Minty. I'm going to go way back now into the 70s and 80s. And for our listeners, because I know there's a lot of experience and years listeners out there. Now, Uncle Pat, growing up and obviously you turned into a magnificent player yourself as a hooker, but growing up and watching Uncle Pat Foxy Bennett play, you must have a few memories there.
Yeah, I do. It was Uncle Pat for a long time, and used to, when they had the Shield in '81, I guess I was about 6 or 7, I think. So I don't really remember a whole lot, but I remember him turning up and used to have his yellow Land Rover, and he'd turn up and he'd have the Shield sitting next to him, and he'd bring it inside and he'd bring it to school, and I just remember sort of following them around and sort of becoming really interested in rugby and him from that point. But very vivid memories of Uncle Pat and the Shield and him playing in the Waikato jersey.
Mate, has he still got that magnificent moustache?
Like a big handlebar that never fell off.
It just changed colour as he got older.
Yeah, I tell you, how small he is. Like, he's shrunk to a little old man now too, but he's still got that cheeky smile. I tell you what, he'll come and spit in your ear and put his finger in your nose, and you just pinch you in the guts.
Mate, does he still say me and Kevin Green could tell some stories, Foxy?
I think, if you set him down with a bottle of something, he'll tell you stories of him and Hunt Rickett.
That's probably worse.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, Greg, look, as we round this up, hey, congratulations on what you're doing with the Chiefs under-20s. You and the squad of picking the next realm of what I say, not superstars, but you look at that squad and you say probably 5 or 6 of them, maybe more, we'll see a lot of over in Chiefs over the next few years. Hopefully they can get them contracted, but more so going back down to Taupo and defending that title you guys won last year. I think that's the big thing in front of you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We've talked at the start of the planning around this group, is that we're sort of teaching these boys how to be Chiefs, we're teaching them how to win, and they need to go into this environment after us, which is a stepping stone. So that's our role, Minty. We just got to, one, identify some talent, 2, sort of put some steps, some foundation stones in place for them to take steps forward. And the tournament itself, well, I guess it is what it is. Last year we went down there and we were supposed to come last. We were ranked as having the worst team.
No one rated us, did they?
Yeah, there was a magnificent speech by Ken Curry, and he told everyone that no one rated us. And we went out there and then we played, we beat Canterbury by 40 points. So we don't know what the other teams chuck up, but we're certainly going to go down and give it our best and hopefully take a bunch of tough kids and do the best we can.
Indeed you will, mate. Hey, look, thanks for giving up some time for us at short notice on a Saturday morning. Keep doing what you're doing, eh? And like I said, should I mention again that Fraser Tech with the premiers this year, Foxy? Did Foxy, you remember that?
Yeah, where you go, meant to get in it. I'm allowing you to do that because Smithy's a good man. That's the only reason.
12 months ago, I told you Tech were going to win it, didn't I?
Yes, you did, Minty.
And what happened, Foxy?
Yes, they won.
He's sick of me, Smithy. He's sick
of me. We're in a new year now. We get together and hopefully do it again. But that's last year's news.
Yeah, that's last year. They can do it again this year. Hey, thanks, Greg. Take care. Be safe on Saturday, eh?
Hey, Ben. Thank you.
See you, Smithy.
Greg Smith. Cool, eh?
Yeah.
He's doing some neat things in the world of rugby football.
Yeah, he's a very good man, Minty. And
tell
for our listeners out there too, he's a thinker.
Yeah.
He's he's an ex-rugby player, but at the same time, he's a thinker. He studies the game. He plans really well. I remember last year in Taupo, he spent endless hours in his room on his laptop planning for what's ahead.
All right, time is 8:22. Let's take